Guy, sorry, I think we got questions answered on that agrivoltaic
Okay,
bill, so we can bring it up again.
we can try, yep. Okay. Because Senator Augustine is here, we're going to start.
Power of President Pro Tem.
It is indeed. All right, we need our staff, don't we? Do we have who we need? Oh, you want to do yours? We'll do those quick. We have 2 pension bills that we got to do. 2 pension bills. And then we'll get to some other stuff. The audits and other good things.
All right. There's 2 pension bills. They were discussed in subcommittee. The subcommittee did not officially vote them yet, but you have amendments before you. The first one is Senate Bill 491. As introduced, this would have made changes to the military service credit provisions, allowing members of the law enforcement officers plan to get credit if they were already receiving credit for prior military service. This generally is an issue when people are actually receiving a military retirement benefit. The amendment you have before you from the sponsor narrows the bill to apply, I think, to its intended target, so that it's now limited to members of LEOPS who are assigned as a helicopter pilot in a state law enforcement aviation unit. The testimony was that pretty much the recruitment pool are all military, and I think most, if not all of them, are also military retirees. So this should achieve the sponsor's intent while also limiting the fiscal impact.
Senator, you like this? Excellent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
All right, the next bill is Senate Bill 710. As introduced, this bill would remove the reemployment earnings offset for any retiree of the corrections officers retirement system. In light of the fiscal note, the sponsor has submitted an amendment that you have before you that would limit the bill to apply to a retiree of the correctional officers retirement system who is employed as a bailiff in a state court. And then also adds into the annual reporting requirements related to those reemployments.
Madam Chair? Okay. All those in favor? As amended? Opposed? Okay. We had, so you may have seen on the floor today, we held back Senator Corman's bill about sales and use tax. And the reason was that last year we had an issue with the tech tax where we were trying to make it so businesses that had affiliates weren't paying tax to each back and forth to each other. And that's what this amendment does. This is a good place to put that. And so that's what this is. So you don't have it in front of you, but that, just so you know that that's what we're handling. Anybody have a problem with that?
So by adopting this, we'll be supporting the tech tax?
No.
You saying?
No. Actually, it'll be helping make it better for some number of businesses that have affiliates.
So by supporting this, sponsor will be supporting the tech tax. Got it. So big fan of tech.
Okay, that was helpful. Now to the audit bills. Actually, the interesting point is, Senator, I could have probably put it on your bullion bill too. So I had a choice, and I may have to do both of them. So we'll have to see how that might work. Yeah. Just saying. Okay.
You don't have an amendment yet?
Well, it was this one, and it may go on both, and it may not, or at the moment, we're just working with what we got. Yep. But just hold tight. Hold tight. Okay.
Good?
As good as it's gonna get.
Senate Bill 858 is the first of two bills. These, I believe, are from the Joint Audit Committee. We do have staff here to help answer some questions, but this first bill, as drafted, would establish an audit and financial compliance unit in the Department of Budget and Management to assist units of government to correct and address audit findings. And there are some amendments. You have a reprint on your desk. In the reprint, one of the things that's going on here is just some terminology.
They have a reprint on their desk.
Oh, sorry.
You did it
should.
earlier.
Oh, yeah. This is 858. So the amendments, the first thing they're doing is making just a technical change, referencing executive department units instead of agencies. The other thing the amendments are doing, they are removing, as drafted, there was a requirement for a dashboard. That's being stricken, and instead that's being replaced with reporting on information about the activities of the unit to the Joint Audit Committee. It's requiring the new unit to assist agencies with unsatisfactory audits, adding a timeline for implementing corrective actions. And then there's, at the end of the bill, a clarifying amendment authorizing certain people in certain offices to receive unredacted cybersecurity findings in audit reports. So that would be members of the Joint Audit Committee, members on the Joint Committee on Cybersecurity, the chair and subcommittee chairs of B&T and Appropriations, governor, governor's chief of staff, governor's deputy chiefs of staff, and the audit and finance compliant unit that's being established in the bill.
What was all that? What are we doing?
Yeah, my question. Here's my name.
Those individuals can review unredacted audit reports about
gotcha.
cyber findings.
Gotcha. Is there something in there, and I brought this up in a hearing, I think, that sometimes there was you mentioned a timeline for making corrections, and are there provisions to identify the costs to the government to develop processes to actually comply with the audit? In other words, if it costs, they might say, it's going to cost $20 million for us to create a system to actually do the thing that you think we should do as an audit. And would that, that can obviously contribute to a timeline problem because it's out of their control, because we would have to provide the funding for such a thing. What does that look like? That's been something that's been on my mind because, as you know, so many of us have sat on that committee, and a bunch of us have also chaired that committee. And we've seen those kinds of audits where they come back and they say, look, we'd be happy to do it, except we need $10 million to revamp some system to be able to actually do that thing. And then to carry that as what would appear to be a failure of compliance isn't quite the right message in my mind. Yes.
I want to second that emotion. 100%.
Yes.
Well, I would just address that by saying that would be part of the report that would be handed back to, that would be reported to the Joint Audit Committee on an annual basis. So going through the recommendations of OLA, the repeat findings, and then other information. It's not specified in here.
So, but does that mean, though, that they will continually receive a failure? You know, every 3 years, every time an audit is done, because they never succeed in doing that thing that they
See-
can't do?
Right.
Got OLA here if you want to get there.
Okay. Does anyone want to address that? You understand what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, my name is Ken Weaver, and I'm legislative liaison with DLS. I do understand your question, and I think the main reason that this unit has been stood up was to address exactly those issues. There's no indication in the fiscal note or from DBM that there would be any kind of escalation of costs. But certainly, one of the things that they put into the amendments was to make sure that the timeline was achievable. And they've also noted that corrective actions can sometimes cost additional money, which is why they said they amended it to say corrective actions as needed, because not every fix is going to need, not every fix is going to need sample testing afterwards of every single corrective action. So a lot of this was thought about so that there would not necessarily be an escalation of costs. But certainly standing up the new unit and giving it more pins, the whole point of that was to make sure that there's a unit that can help the agencies efficiently address these audit findings so that there will not be repeat audit findings. And they just haven't had the capacity in the past to be able to do this on a large scale.
Yeah, no, I got, so just in the scenario that I may have awkwardly, but tried to portray, let's say that it's a $10 million problem to make it work. And 3 years go by and another 3 years go by. At one point, is it no longer a repeat audit? And if in fact simply an agency says, I can't do this with the resources that I have, you're going to have to, governor, legislature, you're going to have to come up with the resources, or I'll just keep repeating. So how will that not show? That's the thing I'm interested in. It will not show as a repeat audit at that point, because it's not that agency's issue. It is a funding issue from above.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question. And I think that, previously there was a dashboard in here that would be able to log the progress of all of these corrective actions. So now there's a report. So the report is the mechanism that you're identifying where they can maybe take a time out and say, this is what it's going to cost to be able to move forward. And this is why we have not yet reached the finish line on these particular items. So that would give time and a little bit of space for everybody to reconvene and figure out how to best get to the goal you're talking about.
I think that's great, and I think that's useful. But by the same token, what I don't think I hear you saying is that once that is said, and everyone agrees that that's what it's going to take, right? I mean, we'll acknowledge that the administration has to say, look, we get it. Legislature may say that we get it. It is going to take that $10 million. So, and we don't have that right now.
Right.
And when is the point where it said, well, this is not a repeat audit?
Yeah, so for something like that, there is currently in law a time period for OLA to continue to go back and have a review period with the agencies. And then, of course, they have the other cycle, the next cycle for audits when they come back. So in between that time, there certainly would be enough time to kind of address what you're talking about. I don't think this would necessarily be an issue where they would have an unsurmountable problem like you're describing and then be held to account for saying that, this is a repeat audit finding and you're in trouble. The whole point of the unit is to be able to address that and report back to the Joint Audit Committee to talk about these issues.
Right. Senator?
Yeah, thank you. Just to dig down a little bit more, I mean, I think there definitely are problems like you're describing, but there are also, I don't have examples in my head, where the audit finding is something that, in retrospect, when you think about it, wasn't a big deal or doesn't make sense. May not be a money issue, but it's maybe policy has changed, the world has changed. So I think there are those kinds of situations as well. And I think the expectation, this goes to the chairwoman, the intent of this is that this new operation in DBM will be thinking about that and be coming back and saying, too expensive, or don't need to do it, or the world has changed to deal with this issue. Am I understanding that correctly?
So as I see this, I see this as, whereas in current, our analyses now, we get a quantitative, right, analysis of audits in all of our budget analyses. It says what the dings were and, what is outstanding. I mean, I see this being quantitative and qualitative, and these reports will have those qualitative discussions about exactly the points that you're making. And I mean, I'm just sort of thinking about this now, but I would hope that in the DLS analyses going forward, that they would be a bit more comprehensive than just those charts reflecting what the information that we learn through these reports.
Okay. Senator Augustine.
Yeah, just on the thought process of what you're saying, I actually would say that if it's still something that we've determined that's important, so it's in there, and if they're saying they don't have the money to do it, it's just a question of, is it still important? I mean, and if it's still important and they're not stepping up to the plate, we can put the money in also and just say, do it and fix it in the next year.
Or DBM could.
Well, whomever is what I'm suggesting is that, but then that's some of the responsibility of ours, or rather, we can take some of that.
That's my point.
We can take some of that responsibility.
That's my point. Yeah.
But we do need visibility to it. I think that's part of where you are. It's like we need real visibility to it, and then we can then say, here it is, fix it, because we have, we believe that this is important, and it has to be done. That's all I would say.
Okay. I think I probably cut you off somewhere in the middle of what you were doing.
No, I was.
Oh, you were? Oh, look at that. How convenient. All right. So that's the bill as amended. And anybody else have any other questions? Comments? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. What's number 2?
The next one is Senate Bill 859. This one, as introduced, would authorize the ability to set salaries for chief financial officers with the Secretary of Budget and Management. There is a reprint on your desks. There are a few changes. First change is that it sets the threshold for CFOs at agencies of 1.75 billion. What I've been told is this would
Say that again?
1.75 billion or up.
What's the threshold?
As introduced, it was 2 billion.
We added another big agency by lowering the threshold.
So lowering the threshold. My understanding is this would add in Department of Public Safety.
This. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, this applies to CFOs at agencies with
I got
budgets
you. I got you.
Well, actually, now I got you.
at or above the threshold.
The agency has to be that big to
I understand,
qualify.
but what does the amendment do? It changes it from what to what?
As introduced, it was 2 billion. Under the amendment, it'd be 1.75 billion.
Got it, now
Who pick up another? Who did you pick up?
Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services, I believe, is the
That's a
agency.
great pickup.
Absolutely.
Great pickup.
There is a change in the beginning of the reprint it's a change of procurement provision about waiving liquidated damages. So currently, a unit may decide not to pursue liquidated damages and notify and get approval of the head of the unit and document those reasons that currently that's a $5 million or higher threshold. That $5 million limitation is repealed, so it applies to all of those decisions. And then also requires documentation to BPW and joint audit. Then
You mean to deal with liquidated damages, you had to have a $5 million problem?
there's an existing provision about if a unit decides not to pursue liquidated damages. And there was associated approval requirements and documentation about not approving that. That
Okay.
applied for 5 million or more.
I see.
The 5 million or more provision is taken out, so now it's all,
So anytime you're going to do,
anytime you're not.
Not doing
Not pursuing, yes.
gotcha.
Then in the bill, and the reprint, starting on page 2, there is alterations made here in terms of the definition of chief financial officer. So it's a little more expansive in terms of the duties and the experience for CFO. And then on page 3 of the reprint, you have provision authorizing the Secretary of DBM to establish minimum qualifications for Chief Financial Officer's position that consider, so education, executive experience, supervisory or managerial experience, technical competence, certifications, scope and complexity of the role, and alignment with the government or industry standards. So it's a little more expansive and flexible than as introduced. And then the bill also adds amendments following that to regarding the annual comprehensive financial reports required under state finance and procurement article. And then the bill also adds provisions related to chief information officers, allowing an individual acting as the senior executive officer responsible for strategic planning, management, and oversight of an agency's information technology. It allows the secretary to set the pay scale for those positions for recruitment and retention purposes. And those are the amendments.
So the thresholds, they apply to departments?
Yes, so this gives,
So let me just tell you where I'm going.
yeah,
Like the full department, or will it apply to parts of the department? And health is probably my best example where I believe they need that kind of position in DD, in behavioral health.
Several
and-
places.
Yeah.
so the authority in the bill, and you'll see this on page 2, says the section applies to a unit of the executive branch of state government that receives at least, under the amendments, 1.75 billion annually in state and federal funding.
Okay, so unit is defined as, it could be any kind, it could be a subunit, a sub of a department.
That is my understanding with the usage of the word unit as opposed
Is that your
to agency or
understanding also?
department.
Yes? Okay. So I'm asking the folks at DBM.
And then so if,
Because that's consistent with my conversations with the secretary, but just wanted to make sure it's clear in the legislation.
yeah, and the secretary of DBM then for those positions, for those CFO positions, would have authority to set the pay scale in order to assist with recruitment and retention
The secretary
of DBM.
of DBM, yeah, perfect.
And then I believe previously there have been some discussions about like the qualification and experience criteria, and those are amended on page 3 and 4 of the
Yep,
bill. And
yep.
then also authority added for chief information officers.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay, as amended, anybody have any questions? Comments? Thoughts?
Just don't ask me to explain it.
Hellman's got it.
About USM here, about removing USM from this,
Okay,
because it's difficult with each of their and that we were doing a lot with them this year. So we want to take a little time. Is correct?
That's, yeah.
Is USM in now? Or?
But it's not in.
They would be in there now. Do you recall that as well?
I'm all for putting USM into binding arbitration, but I'm all for taking them out of this.
Okay? Is that your understanding of the way it should be going also? Yes, okay. Getting the head nod from DBM. That's not fine, so we'll remove that.
They're not referenced in here, so I just would want clarification as to whether the interpretation of the existing language would
think we
be interpreted to apply to them or not.
I believe that it was, so I think we need to make explicit to remove them. You know, maybe with an exception.
Okay.
Yeah. Can we do that?
Yes. I just need to figure out where it would make sense.
Okay? Further comments, thoughts? Is everybody good with that last piece? Everybody good with all the other amendments? So all the amendments together and the bill, all is in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all very much. And both of those are yours. Yeah. I think we have something else. This just in.
Going back to Senate Bill 344, this is the one that we talked about before with the agrivoltaics. So I got some information on this one. So for a project, an agrivoltaic project that is zoned for agricultural use, the project still has to meet all of the other requirements, has to meet the standard that SDAT has for all other farms and anything else that's going to be zoned for ag use. So I have a list of some of the things that SDAT considers.
Everybody together on this? Senator Corman, look a little not caught up yet.
What about the land?
That you're using, you know, let's say you have 100 acres and you're putting 20 acres into this. What about, because that 20 acres can still be taxed in ag pres versus non-ag.
So like if just that 20 acres
So
is.
it's my farm. My farm, where my house sits, is not taxed in ag. I pay residential for that. But everything else that I farm, the 50 acres, or 48 acres is taxed ag. But they, except for my houses, that's in residential tax bracket. So that would be my question is, do they carve out what is not,
So my understanding is that for an agrivoltaic project, it has to be simultaneous for it to be ag. For the area that has the solar panels on it, it has to be, for it to be zoned agriculture, it has to meet all those requirements.
but I think he brought up a good point. How are you using it anymore? Because
I'm guessing,
the only thing I was going to say is unless they raise their solar panels 10 feet in the air,
I'm
there's
guessing
nothing.
that's not so much the issue, but it's just the taxing issue that they're, to your point, I'm guessing that it's just still going to be maintained as an agricultural rate even with solar panels on it.
Basically.
That's
Really what they're saying. Like my understanding of what you just said was you still have to maintain whatever's required in order to qualify as ag. It's just that you're now allowed, the fact that you got solar up on top of it doesn't change it to a different zoning, which it would be for just the solar. That's basically what it's saying.
So this isn't a solar farm.
It's a farm that then has solar on top.
No, I get that. I'm talking about a solar farm. I mean, where you have the fields of the solar panels.
Without farming.
And no farming underneath.
Yes.
It has to have the farming underneath.
Versus a barn where I'm going to put solar panels on top of my roof.
No. This is farming happening at the same time that you got solar panels up top.
So I guess they're raising them 10 feet. in the
Yeah,
air
and then
versus-
you got the farming happens underneath. It's a whole thing.
Okay, because the ones I see by my house, they're all
That's different.
4 feet off the ground.
No,
so there's
that's where
nothing you
they
can do.
changed it where you elevate and then you're doing certain farming.
No, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, that's what it is. I think we're good,
What?
Well,
because I'm trying to go.
Easy for you, so.
Yeah. Huh?
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to
well, we
do.
have
I was
somebody-
trying to go, yeah.
Someone here represents the stakeholders in this.
Sure,
Who do you
Unless you raise
represent?
cattle.
Who are you and who do you represent?
Rory Murray. I represent Lightstar Renewables, and they are kind of the purists when it comes to agrivoltaics. We do not have agrivoltaics in Maryland yet, so you haven't seen these. But yes, they're bifacial dual tracking panels that are higher than normal panels. So they will track the sun, they're higher off the ground, they work good with most commodity crops, leafy greens, grazing. They don't work well with corn because then they would have to be way too high, but also the panels can go straight up and down, so they're all much wider than typical solar fields, so then you can have the farm equipment going up through. But they need a complete farm plan like any other. There's a farmer who farms the land. It is truly integrating farming under solar panels.
How high in the air do they sit?
I can get you, if you want to know exactly how high they sit based on certain crops, I can get you the data for that. I don't have that offhand. Higher than standard. Can't tell you how much higher, though.
That'd be helpful. I mean, I'm not gonna hold the bill up for that, but
Yeah, no, I can get back to you.
just let me know if you get a chance. I mean, I'm just curious, because
I mean, I'll, if it helps, I can send you an agrivoltaics farm plan, a YouTube video of an active project, some engineering drawings if it's helpful. Happy to.
be educational, yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Okay, any other questions on this bill? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yes or no? Are you still trying to decide, yes or no?
Yeah, I'll support it for right now. I mean, I'm trying to give it to my farmers. If they can use it,
Yeah,
right.
Farm Bureau is in support of this bill.
then I'll support it.
Who is?
Maryland Farm Bureau and MACO.
Everybody still want to stay where they are? Okay.
I'm with the farmers, Mr. Chairman.
I'm with Jennings, that's all that matters. All right. Yes. Sure. We reported out capital, and we'll be reporting, they will be reporting to the full committee on Friday. And then they'll go through the same thing that I just went through, although everyone loves them. So there won't be the same kind of questioning on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Are we all caught up?
I think
All right,
so.
hold on.